So let's read about finding things. The author says here, the cloth carried to one's property by the wind, or the item tossed by a runner, like he's running and he threw something over your fence and he kept running, is secured by the homeowner like a trust. So cloth here is just an example. Like what was left at his home, it's secured by the homeowner like a trust. So if it's like a trust, that means you have to observe the rules of safekeeping. And one of the rules of safekeeping is storing something in its appropriate security, or storage. After losing hope of finding its owner, he puts it in the Muslim treasury. If the Muslim treasury is corrupt, he distributes it in goodwill. So, mashallah. Someone said that that's what he did with, or he claims that this is what he did. He would find things and he wouldn't keep them for himself. And he would hold them and he would lose hope of finding who they belong to. And then, since there's not a Muslim treasury, he gave it in goodwill. What is found on private property is given to the owner. Yani, you're on somebody's property. You found something there, so give it to the owner of the property. That real quick here. Well, what if you just found something on your own property? Then, if you are not sure where you got it from, or where it came from, is it yours or not? Then apparently it's yours, so you can take it. Like you found some money in your clothing pocket or something like that. Then apparently that's yours. If a freeman finds a lost article in unclaimed land or in public, and he trusts himself, he should pick it up to avoid waste. Yani, that's better. That's why it says he should. To avoid waste or to prevent another from using it wrongly. But he can leave it, especially for fear of falling short. If he is sure to be negligent, like he knows about himself that he is treacherous and that he consumes the rights of others, if he takes it, he will consume it unrightfully. He knows that about himself. Then taking it is forbidden. Or he knows that he can't secure it. Like there's his house is chaos in there. If he takes it, it is recommended to take witnesses and tell them some of its description. If it is a thing that remains without expense, yani, it doesn't go bad. Like gold or cloth, one must know what type of thing it is. It's measured by weight, volume, count, or length. Its container, seal, yani, or lid. And he must secure it as such a thing would be secured. Let's say. He furthermore must secure it as such a thing would be secured. So 4 things there. Then, whether he only wants to hold it for the owner, or if it were found outside of Mecca, if he wants to keep it, if the owner does not appear, he must verbally advertise for it. Yani, he's going to keep it. He's going to take it. So what's the point of him taking it and then just not saying anything to anyone? And he doesn't want to keep it either. So why was he going to do? So he still has to advertise for it, even if he doesn't want to keep it. So if he doesn't want to advertise for it and he doesn't want to keep it, let him not take it. What's he going to do with that? Then he'll die suddenly, Allah knows, for example, and then that thing is there and then it's going to get misappropriated. So whether he only wants to hold it for the owner, or if it were found outside of Mecca, if he wanted to keep it, if the owner does not appear, yani, let's say, in case the owner does not appear. So in either of those, he must verbally advertise for it, where he found it. If that's reasonable, because maybe he found it in the cave somewhere. So then he will advertise for it where he found it, if that's reasonable. And also at the marketplace. Yani, at the market. And also at the door of the masjid. SubhanAllah, you know, because of the way our societies are. You say market. Like, if I take the word place off of here, at the market. Like, for me, that means one building, first thing that comes to my mind, one building that has all the stuff in there. Or it could be a small one, a small market. But the market is going to include some area that has tables and different tables, basically, yeah. It might not have ceiling, might not be a building. Maybe has tents. So he advertises for it at the market. We'll say marketplace, though. At the door of the masjid and wherever the people gather. To keep it later, he needs the intention when he starts. Yani, he can't keep it without an intention. Without having had an intention already. He can't decide that now I want to keep it. Let's say he had it for a year and then he decides he wants to keep it. Or he had it for some time. So basically the rule is, if you wanted to keep it, let's say from the moment you saw it and you know that you can't because you fear Allah, but you'd like to keep it. So if you can, you will. So you take it. Then that means you took it with an intention to keep it. So then you do your advertisement and then afterwards you can claim it. But you might have taken it without that intention and then you changed your mind and you would like to keep it. So then that's when your time starts. Even if you had it already, it's like it restarts with the intention of keeping it. The trivial article needs only be advertised for the duration a poor person remains attached to it, like a penny or a quarter or a dime or a nickel. What do they say over in the UK? A pence? Or else he must advertise for a year for the sake of the yearly commuters. At first, for twice per day, for a week, morning and afternoon, not at night nor nap time, siesta time. It is recommended to mention some of its qualities. Then he advertises once per day for a week or two. So let's say he went 2. Then once or twice every week for 7 weeks.
Sheikh, what does it mean by nap time?
Like siesta time.
What does that
Like
mean?
some cultures, they take a nap in the day. Everyone does. Like it's like noontime, break time for everybody, for the whole town.
Okay.
Then he advertises once or twice each month until the year is complete. After a year, he can claim it for himself while intending to return it or reimburse it if the owner appears. By saying something like, I now take ownership of this. أتملك هذا. I take ownership of this. That means he has to say that with his tongue. One can relinquish the item when he believes the one who gives its accurate description. And he can relinquish the item by the testimony of reliable witnesses. And just occurred to me, not right now, actually before this, maybe yesterday or today, what should go here in this chapter? If you found a treasure, there's rules there. Because sometimes you have to give that to whoever owned the land before, and sometimes you don't, and then you'd have to pay zakah. So it would be good to mention that here in this chapter. Inshallah, I'll put it here. Stealing and the like. Taking others' belongings might be done stealthily or openly. So for stealthy, that means what? Sneaking. So that's the sariqa, stealing something that we're going to talk about. That's going to get your hand cut off. Or embezzlement. Done openly, that's like looting and extorting. So this document here, this is obviously this is an English document here. So I wasn't really, when I said stealing here, doesn't mean Arabic word sariqa. I mean stealing in English. So in Arabic you have what? Sariqa, that's what you call the one that'll get your hand cut off. When you sneak and take something from its secured place. And that's sariqa. Now, there's also a case of not sneaking, where you just take the thing, yani, like, it's not in a secured place. It's not in a secured place. So you didn't sneak to take it from its secured place. You're not going to get your hand cut off for that. We'll come back to that. So sariqa is that one that'll get your hand cut off. You have nahb, which is the looting, grab and run. And ghasb, that's extorting, taking by force. Stealing the value of a quarter of a dinar from its secured place warrants amputation. So here, as if it means sariqa. Here, so we need to add. Stealing the value of a quarter of a dinar stealthily from its secured place warrants amputation. They'll dislocate the wrist, yani the hand from the wrist, chop the hand off, the right hand, and then dip his wrist in boiling oil to seal the veins. With more details behind that. What if he does it again and again? Another time. This does not apply to embezzlement. The meaning of embezzlement here is he's taking money that was entrusted to him. So that's not going to get your hand severed. I don't know one Arabic word for that. But what's meant here is when someone leaves money with another, he deposits money with another, and then that one takes from that. Nor taking others' belongings openly. Yani, you're not going to get your hand cut off for taking others' belongings openly, which could be by flight, like looting, or by force, like mugging and extortion. Even if one's leverage over the other is by social status, he's a judge, or a movie star, or the like, or a rapper, or a drug dealer. And even if he only took his seat, that's still haram. Or he took what one gave away reluctantly. That means he didn't want to give it away, but he did give it to you. You knew he didn't want to, but he did. That's haram for you to take it. Same thing for the party. You can't go uninvited, and you can't go if they tell you you can go, but you know they don't want you to go. Or workers' compensation. That's haram. You can't take that. Yani, you can't force someone to pay. If he offers it to you, you can take it. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about the employee who died while digging a well, his blood is worthless. There's no blood money here. It's like workers' comp is like blood money. Or taxes, that's haram, which is for the authority to take the money of the traders and the like. It's really, really, really a big scam. Subhanallah. Very interesting how much money, for example, United States sent to Ukraine, and how much money they're spending on immigrants in Chicago, if you know about that. That really exposes a lot. They're going to just take the people's money and do whatever they want to do with it. The people who contributed that money don't have any say in where it goes. And they're going to give it to whoever they want to give it to. They're going to take it whatever way in whatever name they want to take it, in the name of whatever name they want, and then spend it whatever the way they want. If you look at what's happening in Chicago now with how they are paying for the immigrants there, that exposed the fact that they could have been taking care of their homeless in a very big way. Why were there even any homeless people if they could do all of this? Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Except ambushing commuters, for it may warrant amputation, like stealing, or even execution. Here we have the details here. I have a footnote here. How about now we go ahead and put this footnote in the main body, and so we can break it down with numbers. If one only frightened the people, he is punished by the caliph's discretion. If he frightened them and took the value of a quarter of a dinar, his right hand and left foot are amputated. If he murdered without taking money, he is executed without being hung on a pole. If he took money and murdered, he is executed and hung upon a pole after washing, shrouding, and prayer for him. So here, if he only frightened the people, if he frightened them and took the quarter of a dinar, the value of a quarter of a dinar, if he murdered without taking money, and if he murdered and took money. Copying another's idea is not theft. So we talked about that before. And it is forbidden to cheat and lie in dealings, in all dealings, even with a kafir, even with a combatant. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "It is not lawful for a Muslim to take the stick of his brother, except with his good will." Like we said, if he doesn't want to give it to you, but he did give it to you, you can't take it. Furthermore, the solvent may not beg. Solvent means sufficed. He has what he needs. Begging means asking for more than what a friend normally asks for from a friend. And that includes the wife. She can't do it. So a friend would ask from a friend normally the likes of, let's say, a cookie or $1, let's say, and the friend doesn't say to the friend, "Oh, you got $500 I can just get on a strip," or the likes of that. So it's not permissible for a wife to say to her husband, "Can you buy these shoes for me? Can you buy this jewelry for me? Can you buy this coat for me?" etc. Or this bag for me, etc. When it's not something that a friend would ask for from a friend. Not talking about a loan, talking about just, as they say, just to get it on the strength, just to break him off. Do me a solid, as they say. Unless one has permission. If you give someone the permission to ask you for whatever they want to ask, then they may. Because that's what the Prophet did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he said, "Ya Fatimatu binta Muhammad, Ya Fatimatu binta Muhammad, O Fatima, daughter of Muhammad, Salini ma shi'ti min mali, ask me whatever you want of my money. La ughni anki min Allahi shay'a, I will not be able to save you from Allah." He means, ask me anything you want of my money, I can help you in the dunya. But if you die as a kafirah, there's nothing I can do for you. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, asking, and here means begging, is not permissible for the wealthy or the able-bodied. What if a woman was poor and her husband was poor too, and they didn't have what they needed, and he refused to divorce her, and he wouldn't let her leave the house? Then if she needs to go out and beg, she's allowed to. Wallahu a'lam. Any question?
Can someone ask 99 people for $1, or was that still be considered begging?
It's going to become begging after a while because he's going to be solvent.
Inshallah.
I mean, I'm assuming you mean that each one of them gave him $1?
Yeah.
So then once he gets enough money, he has to stop.
Okay. And the second question that I had is, when we use the term embezzlement, does this include money that, for example, he has some right to?
I never heard about that. But you do know, though, since you ask, in the case of actual theft, if there's any ambiguity about his right to the money, then his hand will not be amputated.
Inshallah. Right.
He might say, no, that's my money. I was stealing it back. Or he might say, no, we were partners and he burnt me, or something like that.
Right. MashaAllah. Barakallahu feekum.
Ameen wa feekum.